Hello and thank you for clicking on another one of my videos. I am Screen Scene Guru. Tonight I am coming at you with another reaction, this time to a frontline documentary, this one going by the title of, let's see, China and the US, The Rise of Xi Jinping. This was a documentary on the Chinese president, basically like a forward on his life, the rise of his political power, also in the tensions rising between the U.S. and China with Donald Trump's second presidential election. This documentary just came out on November 26th, so just here at the end of November, right around the holiday. For those of you that haven't checked this out, I definitely recommend going out and watching this. Of course, it is on Frontline. I've also got the article brought up right next to me, just to kind of reference it. But so I watched the documentary. It's about, I'd say, 45 minutes, maybe an hour and 5 minutes. Not too long, but very informative. It goes throughout the history of back in the early days of Xi Jinping's life and how his father was a party member of the Chinese Communist Party, and how they were basically they went through a rash ring of shaming people that were against the party, against government, and his father and even himself were caught up in this, and they were shamed, they were thrown in jail. It became hard for them to get work because of this, because of the shaming that was very interesting to find out about. Um, he then went back to, it almost seems like farming, going into working with the average community members. And then he came back later on in his a young adult life to go back to continue his schooling, which was also a fascinating thing to go into in this article. They said that he had no secondary schooling, yet when he came back to mainland, to the city, basically from being in rural China, he was able to get into one of the most prestige, finest universities without any trouble, which a lot of people say that was very interesting to see. He quickly got a position in the Chinese Communist Party movement as an assistant, I believe, or a secretary to a well-established party member. So that was fascinating to see. He was a working official during some of the school riots in the 80s and into the 90s, the clashings with the government and the young school students that were unfortunately slain at those events. He was a party to those. They also go into the U.S. and, of course, the furthering, friction, strugglous relationship with between the West and China, and with how Donald Trump was kind of the start of that. They go back and show past footage of his first administration back in 2018, and how he incited their the U.S., the West, and China's relationship was at odds, where China tried to play it off like there were no problems, basically. But going on into more into the interview, we got to see some of the kind of not exactly behind the scenes, but some of the Donald Trump cabinet, the official members of his select group in the first Donald Trump's administration, speak firsthand in this interview about the events that happened. You get to see step by step. Basically, they're catching us up onto speed on events that have happened in the past. And we know about some of these. We've heard about them in news articles. We watched them unfold on television live. But they basically wanted to tell us in a quick frame by frame shot almost what is happening currently now into 2025, potential talks of escalation and war talk, given the current climate with the conflict in Ukraine and Russia. We witnessed the outcome of the constant ongoing war, starting in Israel, going on with Hamas. So we know that these conflicts are happening. We have people in government, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, that they're monitoring situations at the Pentagon. But we also know that the current incoming administration, Donald Trump's second term, starting in January 2025, has a plan as well. They're going to implement. We've heard rumors about this. Some people have leaked documents. I won't go into all of that. Save that maybe for another video. But this documentary on Frontline, by the way, goes into basically what they believe Donald Trump's plan is going into 2025, how he's going to further push for more tariffs in trade, and China has also signed tariffs with the West, which is going to increase, make it more difficult to get supplies in the West. So that is going to be a very big contributing factor, along with we know that there are currently storms happening all across, not just the West, but across the world, that the Biden administration had put away money for, had set money aside for, but now the current administration, the Donald Trump second term, has now basically come in and swept up all of those additional funds and funneled them into the current administration's cabinet fund. It seems like they don't want to allow for any of the immigration funds that were being allocated to all the migrants coming in. They're talking about a mass deportation plan, all of these things. It's very concerning for people monitoring the situation. We're keeping up to date. But going back on this this documentary, basically we got to see the rise of power to Xi Jinping, but also Donald Trump, and how they're similar in the way they control the media. They control how it seems like Xi Jinping's biggest thing is control, and focus on how can he get control on people that are trying to break away, right? We're seeing that currently with not only the people of the Republic of China, but we're also seeing that with the Uyghurs. They go into, I believe this was starting in 2017, 2018, China wrote in to their laws in their administration and their government that they could round up the Indian population in China and start re-educating them. They have these facilities, these buildings where they try to make them learn proper Chinese, how to write, speak it. They want it to be their first language. They don't want them to speak anything else or have a kind of identity or culture. Xi Jinping is trying to dilute that, or try to eradicate that from the indigenous population. Any foreign people in China are going to be persecuted now due to their law, that they want them to understand that they need to speak Chinese and work with Chinese, and not be working with any other language or any kind of assisted, any focus of transportation, or not transportation, but communication, should I say. They want to be very strict about their rules, and also about their marriage too. They had a lot of fascinating things to go into in this article. Apparently, Xi Jinping, his wife, performed at one of the college massacres that happened back in the day, back in the 90s, after one of the mass shootings of the college students, and they fled, leading to a motorcade being toppled over, and students gathering around this tank that got stuck on a barricade. Basically, this tank had ran through this campus, had run over a little girl on a bike, and then students from this university, these college students, had put up these fences, these small barricades to stop bicycles, basically. But they had put up enough of them to where they stopped this tank, and the tank was basically spewing water at the folks to try to disperse the group. But they were gathering around the sides, they were hitting it on the sides, shaking it, trying to get the people to stop. It was just basically mass hysteria. But then his wife, his partner, performed an art musical or some kind of a song performance after, and rallied the people in sort of a way of saying, don't go out and protest anti-government, anti-violence. You need to come together, and we need to unify in strong government. And that's what basically Xi Jinping has tried since his rise to power. That's what Donald Trump is trying with the Aryan far right groups, even though he tries to disassociate himself from those. I know a lot of people cite that he is very much involved in Aryan, not only white supremacist group, but also hate groups that are not very good, that he should not be focusing himself or his attention or his group party members with. But he continues to make the same mistakes we saw him make in 2018. So, there's nothing we can do about his actions. They are his own. But going on about this documentary, it's interesting that they wanted to tell us right before the beginning of the year. I find it fascinating. I want to know, what are your guys' thoughts on this documentary? Have you seen it yet? Are you going to recommend it to friends and family? How was your Thanksgiving? Obviously, this is a lot to dive into, but yeah, this is definitely a big deep dive for those of you that don't know that much about Xi Jinping, China, the conflict going on right now, trade war they're talking about. Not exactly much of a trade war, but we're going to be seeing more tariffs and a difficulty in getting resources into 2025. So that's the biggest topic that we wanted to go over. Make sure to like the video, subscribe on the channel, follow me on Instagram at Screen Scene Guru for future content. But until next time, guys, bye bye. Stay safe and have a good one.